From NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, you're watching live coverage of the Parker Solar Probe mission to unlock mysteries of the sun's atmosphere. Good morning, I'm NASA's Marie Lewis. Thanks for waking up early this Sunday morning for our second launch attempt. We have team coverage of today's launch from NASA's Torrey McClendon at a viewing area near the iconic Vehicle Assembly Building, NASA Edge's Franklin Fitzgerald and Blair Allen, and NASA's Josh Finch and Mick Waltman at the Mission Director Center. We'll have in-depth interviews on everything you need to know about Parker Solar Probe and how the weather is shaping up. But first, Parker Solar Probe is targeted to launch at 3:31 this morning, Eastern Time, from Launch Complex 37 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. The launch window is 65 minutes long. Parker will take off on a United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket, speeding up to 430,000 miles per hour in orbit. That's fast enough to get from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. in just 1 second. It will travel 7 times closer to the sun than any spacecraft before. Parker will help us understand how the sun affects weather in space. So why is this space weather important? First, a little background. Parker Solar Probe is named after Dr. Eugene Parker, a physicist who figured out 60 years ago that our star actually has its own wind and storms, and they can spread far into space. This space weather can disrupt communication signals from our satellites and even cause power outages on Earth. Besides impacts here on the ground, we also need to understand solar wind to help us explore deeper into space. Just as ocean explorers need to understand currents, NASA needs to understand space weather to help us send astronauts to the Moon, Mars, and other distant destinations. Scientists have sought answers about space weather for more than 60 years and will send Parker into temperatures of 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit to find them. Coming up, we'll find out how Parker will manage to get so close to our star without burning up. But first, we are now about 28 minutes from launch, so let's check in with NASA's Josh Finch and Mick Waltman in Kennedy's Mission Director Center for an update. Hi, guys.
Good morning, Marie. I'm Joshua Finch, and I'm here with Mick Waltman. Good morning, Mick.
Good morning, Josh. I'm happy to be here on behalf of NASA's Launch Services Program.
And we're happy to have you. This is our second launch attempt for NASA's Parker Solar Probe on the Delta IV. Can you tell us a little bit about yesterday, why we scrubbed, and what happened right after that?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of work's gone on by the launch team since yesterday's launch attempt. They've been working on a few things. The gaseous helium bottle pressure limit that resulted in yesterday's morning scrub was evaluated by United Launch Alliance and the NASA launch teams for today's op. The teams will continue to monitor that limit. However, they did place in some new limits for the port and starboard common booster cores, so they'll continue to watch that today. After detanking yesterday, the team did perform inspections of the launch vehicle bond-on foam insulation, or BOFI. Due to the cold temperatures achieved during cryogenic tanking yesterday, minor repairs were required in some of the interface areas. They made those repairs, verified them this morning. They're ready to support today's launch tanking operations, and then we began with moving the MST earlier today to get ready for a launch early this morning.
And you can see that MST, or Mobile Service Tower, standing behind the Delta IV Heavy rocket on the screen. The teams also just received a weather briefing from the U.S. Air Force 45th Space Wing. The launch weather officer for today's mission is looking into a whole host of weather-related details, such as wind speed, cloud coverage, and more. And launch teams need to know this before committing to launch. That report came back pretty great. Our probability of violation is now just 5%. That means we are 95% go. Winds 6 knots out of the southwest. The temperature is at about 78 degrees. Those concerns that we were initially looking at with the anvil clouds, it doesn't look like any of them are going to drift into the launch area today, so we are really good on cloud coverage for today. So a good news story with the weather improving for us. And Mick, can you tell us a little bit about the Delta IV Heavy with the additional third stage that we're seeing on our screen now?
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. Due to the extremely high energy required for this mission, the Delta IV Heavy launch vehicle was chosen by United Launch Alliance and NASA LSP. The launch vehicle is unique in the fact that it has 3 first-stage hydrogen-fueled common booster cores. Each have an RS-68A main engine to provide the initial thrust out of Earth's atmosphere. On top of the center common booster core, you have a Delta cryogenic second stage with an RL-10B engine, which is used to achieve an intermediate escape orbit once in space. On top of that, we have a 63-foot, 5-meter bisector composite fairing, which protects Parker Solar Probe as it ascends through Earth's atmosphere on its way to space. And inside the fairing, along with the Parker Solar Probe spacecraft, we have a third stage provided by Northrop Grumman Innovation Systems, a solid rocket motor that is called the Star 48BV. It's a vectorable motor that's used to put that final push to send Parker Solar Probe on its trajectory to the Sun. All of these vehicle features play an important role in getting Parker Solar Probe on its way to touch the Sun this morning.
And again, a live shot there of the Delta IV Heavy rocket with the additional third stage at Space Launch Complex 37. And Mick, we've been sitting here in the Mission Director Center listening into the launch teams. Can you give me an update on what's happened so far in today's countdown?
Yeah, so far the teams have proceeded through the launch count. Launch conductor Scott Barney has orchestrated all launch steps with the launch teams to get the cryogenic loading done on first stage and second stage. The teams have finished that off and are maintaining and topping the stages currently right now.
So a lot going on here as we move toward a liftoff at 3:31 a.m. We are inside of a built-in hold at the moment, but we'll continue to monitor the countdown here at the Mission Director Center. But for now, we'll go back to Murray for more on NASA's Parker Solar Probe.